How much of a factor is the increasing strength of the baht had to do with all this, and will it keep increasing in strength?
I'll let the experts think on that one. From popular comment, the Asian currencies are strong, and the Asian currencies are going to get stronger. All the way from China through Singapore, Hong Kong, through to Thailand, where for the foreseeable future, the baht is going to continue to strengthen. The baht is strengthening purely on the general economic factors of Thailand, and that's something to do with the exports against the imports. And sorry, I don't pass over that. But I think that the situation with the currency is going to continue. One thing that I see, because I sign off on people's retirement income, and there are many people that are loath to bring their pound into Thailand on a regular basis. But from the time that they were talking about this 2 years ago to now, the pound has only weakened further. And this is affecting a lot of people here who have retirement visas or dependent visas, but the actual income that they have coming in from their pensions is sometimes not enough, which unfortunately creates a secondary business for, unfortunately not foreigners, it creates a secondary business in Phuket for people to help people to get their visa qualification, which costs more money to the foreigner. It's fact, unfortunately, sadly.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, if your income is in pounds or dollars, you're having a hard time right now. As to the future of this, I don't think Thailand is going to be able to support a baht that keeps rising. It's going to be really difficult to sell exports. I heard a rumour the other day that the Thai government is actually going to start selling baht fairly soon in order to stop the baht going any higher. I think one factor in the rise of the baht and the other currencies around this region is that the Asian economies learned their lesson in 1997. They've been fooling around with all sorts of derivatives and so on, and they got into a terrible mess. The Thai baht went from 27 to the dollar down to 54, halved in value. Now it's back up to 30. 29 in fact, I think today. So the Thai baht is almost back to where it was before 1997. It does depend obviously on the flows of money and who's buying and selling. And there's some big players that are buying and selling and affecting currencies. And one of the reasons why the Thai baht is so high, and other Asian currencies as well, is that people are saying to themselves, well, they learned their lesson in 1997. And they did. Of the top 5 banks in Thailand, only 2 had exposures to liens. And they were tiny, it was like 0.005% of their assets. They didn't suffer from the meltdown in the States. So they're seen as strong currencies. I don't think that can go on much longer. Certainly I would hope for all our sakes, or for the sake of those who are living on foreign currencies, that that doesn't happen. But it's a bit of a bother at the moment. It certainly is. That said, Thailand is still a very cheap place to come for a holiday. And as I mentioned before, flights are incredibly cheap. So we fly here cheap, and staying here is cheap.
And certainly from a tourism perspective, it's a very precarious position in terms of, at the first glance, you look at the exchange rate, certainly for short-haul tourism, it doesn't really matter. You know, we're not being impacted day to day. But if you look certainly broader into the export economy, we're seeing huge capital inflows into the country, you know, in terms of investment right now, which is creating a very precarious position. We have an economy which is perhaps leveraged 50-60% of GDP on exports. We have people who are investing here, you know, international companies like Ford who are manufacturing and trying to re-export back outside as well. Now these guys, their prices are just going up and up and up, and they're not competitive with China, they're not competitive with Vietnam anymore. So it certainly is creating uncertainty for foreign investment in terms of actually manufacturing in Thailand and going abroad. I think there are side effects beyond tourism as well. We're seeing medical tourism certainly. If somebody's considered to have some type of surgery here in Thailand, it's much cheaper than in the West, but all of a sudden that benefit now is shrinking and going away. So things like medical tourism, which are important. Certainly there's also a threat for domestic tourism. Speak to most Thais now, they're talking about going on holiday not in Thailand, not maybe even Singapore or Hong Kong. They're going to the States, they're going to Australia, they're going to Europe, they have favorable exchange rates. So these guys, domestic tourism is an important part of this economy as well. So you're seeing a lot of flight of money outside the country, certainly. So in terms of this, it's a very unclear picture right now. It's very worrying.
Thank you. Slight change of topic now. How is the Phuket property market holding up? Is the property market picking up again after the crash? And are prices on the rise again? Bill, I think.
I think we have to go back to things that are never going to be the same as they used to be, maybe, mid-decade. Certainly we saw a huge amount of mass development during a period of 7-8 years here on the island. We certainly have, undoubtedly we have an oversupply of mid-tier resort-grade housing in terms of projects right now in the inventory. I think something that's good, that has been good certainly, is there's been kind of a failure to launch of new projects over the past few years. We've seen activity at the top end of the market, and we've seen activity at the bottom end of the market. For Phuket, it's unlike any other property market in Thailand. It's strongly dependent on foreigners coming in and buying property. So while at the same time Phuket's been suffering for the past few years, you go to Bangkok and there's been a lot of transactions because you have Thai buyers. Thai buyers now, when they want to buy resort property, they jump in the minivan with 6 people and drive down to Hyatt. They're going to buy there. They're going to buy condominium projects. Certainly, it's very hard to attract those people down to Phuket. So we're a mono market. I think one of the challenges of the market right now is how to attract a broader base, or how do you develop new markets. We see in Patong low-end condos actually transacting to Thais, and we see activity at the top end of the market. But right now, we're not going to see the property market coming back until we see one thing, and that's offering leveraging or debt to buyers. We see so many buyers now from Hong Kong or Singapore who are Hong Kong nationals or Singapore Chinese, and they say, I can go to KL and I can put 15 or 20% down on property, I can get a mortgage, I can get guaranteed yields, there's stability. Phuket still is a market that when you buy something, you buy 100% down. So until that changes, we're not going to see things go back. We're seeing some discounting in the market. You're seeing some land prices certainly fluctuate a bit. In terms of transactions, we haven't seen prices move greatly back. It's just indicating that certainly on the oversupply, people are picking up some fairly cheap deals right now. But we don't think things will actually get better until we're seeing better diversity and to be able to attract Thai customers down to Phuket, or we have some kind of ability to have bank financing.
The only thing I would add to that is it's kind of interesting the pricing of this. I came across a report. There's a report of a speech by Alasdair Kanchanat, I think her name is, from one of the big property companies, saying that top-end apartments in Bangkok are now selling for anything up to 300,000 baht per square meter. That's about 4 times what it costs you for a villa in Phuket. So we're still not massively expensive.
Okay, let's start. Can everyone sport? Only just something that I picked up yesterday because I had to ask questions to get any sort of sensible answer. But from a company who do an awful lot of the land transactions in Phuket and the surrounding provinces, basically saying that the only people who have been buying land are true Thai buyers from Bangkok, who are not really looking to do any development on it, but just going to sit on it for a while until things change. And are they picking up at bargain prices? They probably have the individual wealth to buy the large plots of land, and so therefore from a per baht to per rai basis, they are picking the land up at prices that they were looking for possibly 2 to 4 years ago that they weren't getting. There are also big Thai organisations at the moment looking to buy super big hotels in and around the vicinity of Phuket. So possibly going back to the answer on the first couple of questions here, those that have are still doing, those that don't have are waiting until things improve, possibly not in the immediate future.
Thank you. Next one is cost of living in Phuket. I've been here for 10 years or so, and it seems to have increased quite considerably. Is Phuket really the most expensive place in Thailand to live right now?
Being one that does enjoy shopping, but groceries for a fact, it all depends where you buy. The cost of living in Phuket is very, very high. All the produce that we have in our big supermarkets here, a lot of it is imported. A lot of it comes down by road from Bangkok. And a lot of the pricing is targeted to the person who is using that store. I mean, just look at the price of imported oranges from Australia. In one well-known store, 99 baht a kilo. But if you go to another well-known store, you get just as good an orange imported from Australia for 69 baht. So the cost of living here is very, very high. The local Thais probably still eat well, 3 or 4 meals a day, and the ladies probably still have their 6. But they eat very well at a very good price. If you look at the fact of imported produce, then we are very, very high down here in Phuket because the market was there, the customers were there, and they still are. But cost of living is very, very high, I would say, yes.
Yeah, I would agree. Quick straw poll here. How many people shop in Super Cheap these days? Hands up. Oh, not nearly enough. The rest of you should try that, really. Really, you should. If you think the cost of living is high here, go to Super Cheap. Because they are super cheap. Yeah, I mean, it is more expensive, and it is exaggerated, obviously, by the fact that the dollar, the pound, and the euro falls against the baht. So if your money is coming in those currencies, you're having a hard time. I think the other factor is that the place is mature. When I first came here to Phuket for a holiday 30 years ago, and I wasn't worried about the price of a pizza or the price of a bottle of wine because there wasn't any. This place has become more sophisticated, and it is attracting more sophisticated people who have more sophisticated demand. And naturally, the sellers are going to say, "Whoa, this guy coming here, he looks rich. Check it out. He's got a Rolex." So yeah, I mean, people will charge more, but there are places still where you can get 20 over 20 baht. It depends on what you want, your lifestyle, how you live. You can still eat here really quite cheaply, certainly a lot cheaper than you can in Europe.
Going to pass on that one. Okay, this next question is aimed at Martin, but I mean, you two guys can have a go at it as well if you want. What is the role of an honorary consul and the duties involved?
Okay, well, in a nutshell, an honorary consul deals with consular matters. Consular matters within any embassy or with any consul worldwide. Consular matters are dealing with the nationals of that country and dealing basically what's commonly known as distressed. So we have British nationals, so they become distressed British nationals. Dealing with a consular case is there's nothing glorious about it. You're dealing with people that are in trouble, people that have lost money, people that have been robbed, people that have lost their passports, people who are in hospital, people who have been arrested, people, unfortunately, the families of people who have died, passed away. So you're dealing with it's the embassy and their consular department's role within any country is to provide first-hand assistance to their nationals within that country, to provide them with advice on how they can help themselves, and advice what the embassy, what the consular department can do to actually help them in any given situation.
Thank you.